Welcome to That's Joy, the podcast. I'm your host, Cece Calbanero, and I'll be sharing stories of miracles, God moments, and unpacking the truth behind what joy truly means. My friend, when God gives you a direct call on your life, be sure to answer it. Here's to answering my call together. Hello and welcome back to That's Joy, the podcast. I am Cece and I am your host. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, my goodness, welcome. Thank you much. Wow, can she speak today? We're going to try our best here. Thank you so much for being here. Man, I will always say this to the end of my days, but time is our greatest gift. It's our greatest asset that we have on this side of heaven. And the fact that you have taken your time to plug into this podcast means the world to me. And I don't take it for granted by the slightest. So thank you for plugging in. I am excited for today's episode. If you are new around here, then you might not know that we start off every single episode with a little joyful noise. What is that, Cece? It's our version of good news. What are the good things that are happening in our world today? Let's highlight more of that. And so I actually want to start off because honestly, this brought me so much joy reading this review. It was from Maddie Ann 18. She wrote in a review for the podcast on Apple Podcasts, which y'all can do at any given time. If you love an episode, my goodness, I would be blessed if you went and took the time to write a review. But I want to read Maddie's because it touched my heart. She said, highlight of the day, joy comes in the morning and so does Cece's podcast. Every Monday, I get to walk to my 9 a.m. class and listen to That's Joy, the podcast, and it literally makes me a more positive person for the day. I see joy all around me after listening to Cece and her sweet guest, and I'm ready to attack the day and share joy with others. I can't wait to keep doing the amazing things that Cece will do. I am humbled. So humbled. Maddie Ann, thank you, my sweet friend, for sharing those words and just for being a light. Like, man, I feel so lucky that we all get to do this together. So thank you. Another piece of joyful noise that I have to share with y'all. So last week, if you have not plugged into episode 5, geez, what number are we on, y'all? We are on episode 5. So episode 4, I had a sweet guest on, sweet Tanya, and she shared her miraculous story. Now, if you have not listened to that, go back, listen to episode 4. She shares her near-death experience, and I promise you will leave inspired and encouraged to squeeze the heck out of life. And that's the why, and that's why we're doing everything that we're doing, right? So I know you will love that. Go listen to it. But Natalie from our text community, actually, she shared her miraculous story, and it was so cool because I just think that when we shine light on whether it's good or the light in the world or the miracles in the world, it gets amplified, right? You look back and you recall all of the moments in your life where you have seen miracles happen, or where you have been a light, or someone has been a light for you. Or if you look at the good things, you look back and you're just like, man, there's a lot of good things that happen. And our brains are so powerful. Our minds are far more powerful than we think. And so I just love that this episode with sweet Tanya last week sparked people to imagine and remember all of the miracles that happen in their lives. So it's really cool. Natalie shared, without sharing too much, just how her mother got in a car accident while she was pregnant, y'all. And her mom was able to walk away from that car wreck. The car flipped and it was on black ice, and she walked away with Natalie being born without anything wrong with her and with a couple scratches. And it's just hearing stories like that, is that not the most encouraging thing, of just recognizing how in the details God is for everything, and just how, if it is not your race to be done, God is going to continue your race on. You know what I mean? Like, I just keep thinking about life being so much like a marathon. Like, if we are running and running and running towards this finish line that is heaven, we'll only truly get there when God says that our race is done. But until then, we will continue to run. And so on the days where we feel like, near-death experiences happen, it's like, they weren't supposed to go. Natalie was supposed to be here. Mom's supposed to be here. And she still has purpose to be filled and missions to complete and life to be lived. And so I think that is just such a special thing. And Natalie, thanks so much for sharing that. I just know that that's another thing that's going to encourage someone right now who's listening. Today's episode, ooh, girl, okay, or boy, whoever you are out there, I titled this, Don't Let the Waiting Discourage You, because I just think that there are a lot of people who are finding themselves in the waiting. And why and how do I believe that? It's because, guess what? Majority of our life is actually spent in the waiting. And so I know that this is going to touch many hearts, because I know how impactful it was for me to hear things about the waiting while sitting in some of the longest valleys of waiting, And what actually inspired this episode topic the most was a TikTok video that I posted that went viral. And it was all about laying down brick by brick. And I actually want to play it with y'all, if that's okay, just so that you could hear it and you can know what I'm talking about. And we're going to unpack it together. So check it out.
Look, I don't know who else needs to hear this, but if you are building something, you need to watch this. I am literally in my car right now watching these construction workers put brick by brick down to build this building, to build this house, brick by brick. And as I was walking past the building, watching them lay down this tiny little brick one at a time, my first thought was, man, that's going to take a really long time. But then as I got closer to my car, I literally just smiled, because it felt like the biggest God wink of him saying, no, Cece, this is how you build anything that is good. Anything that you want to build, whether that be in your relationship, in your career, in your faith, it must be laid down brick by brick. In fact, as I really began to sit with that, I thought to myself, I actually don't want it any other way. I'd rather have such a firm foundation with all of these bricks that I know once it is up and once it is literally there, it's going to be strong and it's going to be tall and it's going to withstand any type of weather. And so I'd rather have it laid down brick by brick, even if it takes that much longer, because I want to have everything built on a firm foundation. So I don't know how long this thing that you're building or this thing that you're pouring into is taking, but can I just encourage you to say that if we just trust in the process of laying down brick by brick, the Lord is going to build something beautiful for us.
Man, here's the thing about this TikTok video, and honestly, I'm just loving TikTok so much because the community is unmatched. So if you have found me on TikTok and you are plugging into the podcast, I just so see you and I so value you, because it's just so cool. And as I'm looking through the comments of this video, I'm so amazed, like how much it's resonating with so many people. People saying that, man, yes, just step by step, eyes fixed on God, lay down brick by brick. So good. What an encouragement. I needed this. I mean, I can go on and on about how this has truly resonated with so many individuals. And what I keep thinking about is the verse in Proverbs 4:25-7. I want to read it to you because I think that it's just so in alignment with this idea of laying down brick by brick. And it reads, "Let your eyes look forward. Fix your gaze straight ahead. Carefully consider the path for your feet, and all your ways will be established. Don't turn to the right or to the left. Keep your feet away from evil." This was my verse for the month of February. And actually, that's something that I've been recently starting to do since the top of the year is what's my verse of the month? I've never done that in my life, but I've just been so encouraged by the women around me and just to let the word lead out on your life. And so this was my verse for the month of February, and it really helped carry me to the launch of this podcast. As I was preparing, you can imagine how many tactics of the enemy were coming at me, and just trying to stop me from building something so beautiful. And that's such a real thing. And I just wonder what that thing is for you. Like, what are you building that is so beautiful that the distractions are getting so loud and it's coming in and it's hard to see? Maybe it's hard to see your way out. Like, you're just in a position of, God, I'm building, I'm laying down these bricks, but I don't quite see the light. And I just want to encourage you so much because, my friend, most of our lives are spent in the waiting. Yet the world, right? The world tries to tell us and build this story around us needing to be at the next destination before we reach quote unquote happiness. And I think that's why I really want every episode here to unpack what happiness is versus what joy is. And one of the things that stick out most to me is how temporal happiness is. Like, happiness is a feeling that could be fleeting and it's temporary. Joy is embedded within the Father, and the joy of the Lord is our strength. And so knowing that, like, it actually is a fruit, it's a fruit of the Spirit. It's something that we get to have. I think that is the most powerful gift in it all. So as I think about, like, I just keep visualizing, whether it be a freeway or a marathon, whatever works best in your mind, there's these destinations that we have, right? When I finally get that job, then I will be happy, right? When I finally meet the godly man of my dreams, then I will be happy. When I have that first kiddo, when I'm pregnant and I have that first kiddo and I'm finally a mom, then I will be happy. There are stories that we can say for every single different chapter of our life, making it seem as if the destination is, in fact, the place where you reach the joy or the place where you reach the happiness. And that is a lie from the world. It's a lie, y'all. Like, we have to cling to the joy in the waiting. One of the things that I really was thinking about was how this quote that Natalie Grant shared during worship at the Belonging. If you're ever in Nashville, I will say this through and through. Go to the Belonging Co. It is an incredible church, and everything about it, I can sing its praises for an entire episode. But Natalie Grant was in the middle of worship, and she shared this unique quote. And she said that research has recently showed and confirmed that gratitude and anxiety cannot coexist in our brains. Is that not the wildest thing? I'm going to say it again. Gratitude and anxiety cannot coexist in our brains. That is some truth that we get to cling to, y'all. Knowing that gratitude, when we get really, really grateful about the things that are happening in our lives, we actually give no space to anxiety, the anxieties of worrying about the next destination, any room in our lives. And I think that is just incredibly powerful because we could choose that. It's like an active choice that we get to make daily, where we choose to look at all the things to be grateful for around us. And when we do that, anxiety about the future, and that's what the waiting is, right? Why we feel like we get discouraged in the waiting is because we're clinging to something in the future. We want something in the future. And I am preaching to myself right now, by the way, because there are things that I am waiting on right now. Right now, y'all. I'm choosing to lean in with faith to just say, God, I trust you. I trust you, I trust you, I trust you. And it's something that I have to say every day because it's hard, because our minds are powerful, like I said, and we can easily forget the promises from God that he has in our lives. And it doesn't mean that he promises all of these things. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that the promise is good. And so if we know that it is good, then we know in our heart of hearts that even if it's not what we pictured, we know it's still going to be good. In fact, I can almost bet that it's going to be better. It's going to be better than anything that you could ever ask, think, or imagine. And so when we are in the hallway, how do we let the verse of James 1:2, the whole reason of this podcast, count it all things as joy? How do we let that be the leading factor of our lives? Because when we are able to do that, and when we choose, you know what, God, I'm counting this waiting as joy. I'm going to find the joy, and if I can't find it, by my goodness, I'm going to be it. I'm going to be the joy in the hallway. I'm going to be the joy in the waiting. In fact, you may be in a physical waiting room of a hospital, and I'm praying boldly over you. I'm praying healing over you. But if that is you, how do we just cling to the Lord's joy being our strength in the waiting room? In the waiting room. I get so passionate about this because I really just believe that this can alter our lives. This can change our perspective for the rest of our lives when we fully understand this. When we fully understand that the waiting is always for us. I had one morning, y'all, as I was journaling, I just felt like there are some days where I'm in quiet time and I'm spending time with God and I just hear downloads and I'm like, okay, Lord, is this you? And I'm still learning so much. I'm not a professional. I'm not a pastor. I'm just a girl who is walking with God right now, imperfectly, sharing with you all of the things that I have been learning. And one of the sweet nudges on my heart was, I'm not keeping anything from you, my daughter. I'm not keeping anything from you. And it was such a thing that I needed to hear, because in that moment I was like, God, will I have that thing one day? Will I get to that place one day? Will I have that love one day? Yo, these are all very real things that are near and so dear and close to my heart that I'm walking through with you. Like, there are things that I'm waiting on with you, and I haven't arrived. And in fact, let the pressure go, because I don't think we ever arrive. And I talked about that with Trent, right? He reached the very first episode of That's Joy. We talked about the arrival of quote unquote success and getting to this peak and to this mountaintop and realizing that, man, the beginning is beautiful. Every part is beautiful. The mountain is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. The blessings are there. And I have been on mountaintops of my own where I'm just like, dang, how's this real life? God, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right? Just leaning in with gratitude. Thank you, God. I just am so grateful for that. And I just keep thinking that the waiting is preparing you. It's preparing you. And as I listen back to that TikTok video where I'm saying that, God, I'll wait. God, I'll wait. I will wait to have this full built house. If it takes years, if it takes months, if it takes weeks, days, whatever it is I'm waiting on, God, I will wait, because I know that every piece of work and everything that I can do and I can control, if I commit my works to you, if I lay down brick by brick, knowing that it is from, like, with you, that I am partnering with you as I'm laying down those bricks, I can know and I can trust that in the right timing, you are going to open that door. In the right timing, you are going to allow me to meet that person. And in the right timing, that God opportunity will be available for me. And if it is not your timing, God, then I don't want it. Because I have seen too many times and too many stories and far too many accounts where people have been given something. In fact, I can probably recall moments in my life where I have been given something that I wasn't ready for. And we don't know how to handle it, y'all. We're not prepared. There isn't the equipping that has taken place that needed to take place for you to be able to run in that gift that God has given you. And so more than anything, I just want you to know that there is a reason that you can't see right now. There's a reason sitting on the other side of your waiting that you will be able to unpack and see soon. And I don't know how soon that is, but I just know that if it's good, then you're good. You know what I mean? So let James 1:2 lead out your life. And I just want to keep this on the shorter end of episodes because I just want you to look at this week with a different lens. Whatever you walked into this episode with, I hope and pray that you pick up a new pair of lens, a new pair of glasses to see through this week. And I hope more than anything that that pair of glasses has the most clarity of gratitude leading out your vision this week. One of the things that I do when I struggle to see the good, y'all, is that the first thing that I'll do in the morning is pray, open the word, find scripture to cling to, and then but if I can't even find anything to write down, or my brain's at, just a dead end. And sometimes some mornings look like that where I'm like, I don't want to do this right now. I don't really want to sit here right now. And there are mornings where that happens to me, y'all. The joyful person that you know as Cece, I still struggle with those moments. And something that helps me, that I know can help you, is that if you just choose to sit down, even when you don't want to, and just start writing out like crazy, y'all. Just go crazy. Start writing down all of the things that you're grateful for. And I'm talking the very big, as far as your health, your family, the very big things. And also, more importantly, almost the little things. Because I'm telling you, when you can pinpoint the little ways, in the smallest ways that you're recognizing God move in your life, you're going to be able to see just so much more of how he moves, how he speaks, and how he is working in and through you. And I know this to be true because it's happened to me account after account. And I'm grateful for someone commented, and I'll never forget it. I put up a story every week. I try to do this on my Instagram stories, on my personal, and I say, tell me the most random thing that you're grateful for, because I think that there's so much power in recognizing that the random small thing actually adds up to a really, really big thing that we don't give enough value to. And so one girl commented and she said, I'm grateful that I didn't spill coffee on my white shirt. That's incredible. We should be grateful about that. Another thing that I love being grateful for is I cried till I laughed. I laughed until I cried with my best friends yesterday and felt like I grew a 6-pack in 30 seconds. I'm grateful for that moment. I'm grateful for the woman that smiled extra big in the hallway in my apartment complex and said good morning. I'm grateful for the coffee that was paid for in the drive-thru by the stranger in front of me. There's so many moments that we forget to actually take record of. And I just would challenge you, what would it look like this week if you, 1, picked up those glasses I was talking about, but then 2, wrote it down. Literally wrote it down. Because that's some action that we can take. And so often when we're walking in this life, when we're walking in faith, we forget that action needs to take place. God can put the doors up all day long. It's up to us to turn the knob and walk through them. And so I always love clinging to action because I'm like, what can you do right now to do something? And it doesn't mean you can do everything. In fact, if you think you can do everything, that's a problem. But there is something to be said about you contributing your portion and God filling the gap and God showing up to do what only God can do. There's power in that. And so that thing, man, if you do that, I get so eager to hear how God is going to move through you and what you're going to hear this week. So my friends, I love you so much. And I just know that the waiting is happening for you. And so I want you to be encouraged in that. If you loved this episode, or if there is something that really stuck out to you, I would love to know what that is. And you can actually text me what that is at 615-813-4813. You can follow me on social at CCALBONERO on Instagram and TikTok. And we're almost 10K on TikTok, which is so exciting. You could also follow at That's Joy the Podcast on Instagram and TikTok as well. And you can subscribe, rate, and leave a review for That's Joy if you have not done that yet. I'm telling y'all, the reviews are so massive. They're massive. They're massive. And it's the biggest way that you can bless me in saying thanks for the content that is being created. Take 2 minutes, leave a review. I would be eternally grateful for you, my friend. And I will never leave an episode without saying, if you have even the smallest desire to meet the creator of the universe and to be in relationship with God, or maybe you're someone who's been saved, but you feeling trapped and you're not really free, I want to invite you. I want to re-invite you to sit at the table of plenty with me and so many others, because I'm telling you, there's an abundance that overflows here, and there is joy beyond joy here. And I just know that I need to tell you that God is for you. He is not against you. And all you have to do is just invite him into your heart right now. He's waiting for you. He wants to meet with you. And more than anything, I am so proud of you, friend. If you just made this decision, I would love to know you. Shoot me a text in the show notes, and I would love to pray for you. I love you so much. God loves you so much. And until next time, I'll chat with you next time. And thank you for being here.